Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, Barry here again. Hey everybody, Barry here again. I'm going to start this video a little bit differently because I got some mail. So this comes from Brennan from Montana, and I colored out his mailing address because, I don't know, people do weird stuff, I guess. So let's open it up, see what we got. All right, time for a handy-dandy box cutter. And I'm going to try not to cut too deep into this. Man, he's used duct tape and everything. This is right down my alley. I usually use duct tape or electrical tape or basically anything besides packing tape. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Oh, there's a note. Oh, how cool is that? Wow, look at this unit. What? That's huge. Wow. So it's a 20 amp. We can see right here. With this plug is sideways, this one is up straight, so you can't plug it into a regular outlet and burn the place down. Man, that is heavy duty. That's like a 1/2 inch thick. Wicked. Alright, so we're gonna read the note. Now I'm a terrible reader, and I've never read in front of class, so forgive me. Hiya Barry, got your cord all built and put together? Decided to up the length a touch, so you got a 15-foot cord instead of a 10-footer. He asked me what length of cord I'd like to have. I said, 10 feet pretty much reach around the ramp. So I appreciate the extra 5 feet. 10.3, 5.0? 5.0 cord? Should be good for 30 amps. Though the cord ends are only rated for 20, they're kind of quitters that way. And more than plenty beef to handle any 120 volt welder or whatnot you plug into it. We'll see. I'll try to max it out one day. In the meantime, headed for Texas to pick up the donor vehicle for the Hemi swap on the Caravan, among other things. Now that's going to be cool. This is, I think it's a 93. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brennan. I think it's a 93. It's like a box Caravan, and it's getting a Hemi. That's what I should have done with my Caravan, but I'm a Chevtard, so I didn't have any Hemis hanging around. Do what you can. Among other things. Hope to be jamming at that this summer. Stay tuned. I absolutely will, because I think that's friggin' sweet. Have a good one. Thanks for the entertainment, the laughs, and the encouragement. Now go get the rat rod finished and conquer. Brendan Hankins, the handkerchief 26. I always wondered where the name the handkerchief comes from, but I imagine that's got a lot to do with it. P.S. My wife says Cass is cool for encouraging the van build. Then again, my wife is encouraging my own insanity, so great minds think alike. Man, this is so cool. That is so sick. Man, what a beast that is. Wow. Let's compare that to what I've been plugging it in with, and oh, the big cords are there also, but like, look at the size difference of that. Man, that is monstrous. And I have actually plugged the welder into this Christmas tree cord, by the way, and I'm pretty sure that's actually why Brennan messaged me about this. 1 out of 10, would not recommend plugging a welder into a Christmas tree cord. It gets a bit hot. It's a bit warm. So, like, this is awesome. Thanks so much, Brennan, the handkerchief 26 on YouTube, for sending me this. It's awesome. This is the kind of things that makes me love doing this whole YouTube thing. I never expected anybody to actually want to watch me build stuff and the junk that I build. Poorly, I must add. But yeah, I appreciate it. And if anybody else wants to help contribute to the channel or anything like that, like if you've got something small you want to send up, let me know. I'll never say, hey, I need this, can you send me that, ever. But if you want to contribute or send a sticker or something, absolutely. Just let me know. I'll send my mailing address. And now onto the wiring. So this is what I've been doing. I said that I haven't been videoing this because I've done it so many times. I've got videos on it, but there's just something cool I wanted to add on. This is a Gen 3 harness. You can see that by the 2 big square connectors, not the P59. This is a P01, 0411 PCM. And these trucks from 99 to 02 never came with an oil pressure sensor that you could log. 03 up or 04 up or whatever did have that, but These didn't. It only had a 1-wire oil pressure sensor that went right to the gauge, and I couldn't log oil pressure. I couldn't see what it was if I didn't have a gauge. So I'm wiring it in. And I went back, found the connector, and it branched off right here. So that's where I wrote oil pressure sensor connector. And I ran the 3 wires back to the PCM connector, to the oil pressure low and high reference and the ground. And now I'm going to connect it in with this. And the cool thing here is in the LS, the oil pressure switch and the throttle position sensor share the same plug-in. So that's really cool. This is actually a throttle position. You can see that by it having different colored wires. This is not focusing, there's too much stuff around. But anyway, I'm gonna splice that in there. Then I need to change the map sensor over from Gen 3 to Gen 4 connector, because I'm gonna be running a 3-bar map off an LS9, I think it is, or LSA or something like that. So I've got to connect that connector in, and the pins actually have to be switched up. I can't remember if it's the ground and 5-volt or something switches, but I got to do that. There's a whole lot of stuff to change over on this thing. But it's coming along really well. All the connections are in really good shape. The injector connectors are nice. And also right here is my coolant temperature sensor. And this one's kind of cool actually. This uses the same connector as the speed sensors in the transmission, which is right here. So this is the transmission speed sensor. You can see that by the purple and the green wires twisted. And you put these up next to each other and they're the same. So on my 4-wheel drive, it had this sensor connector thing, or like a joiner, which I thought was kind of cool. So that is going to plug into right there like that. And then I'm going to plug in another side to here and make an extension, because I don't want to chop that harness up if I don't have to. So I'll make an extender that'll go from the stock position, which is down here, and you can see how close it is to the headers, and I'm worried about melting that wiring or the sensor. So I'm going to run my sensor in the back of the head down there. And I will make my own connector, plug it in, right over around the back of the engine, plug it into there. That way, if I ever go to change my setup, if I find that the temperature variance is a lot, which I don't really expect it to be, then I can just unplug the sensor connector harness or the extension and just plug it back into the stock position. Because for the rest of this harness, it's not going to be modified pretty much at all. Like, I always go with a 3-bar map anyway, so I'll be using that connector. I always, since I figured it out the first time, I'll always be putting in the 3-wire map connector. Oil pressure. Hello, Aaron. How are you? It's Aaron. So I'll always be using the 3-wire oil pressure switch anyway. So all of this is going to be in stock location. PCM is going to be up on the fender somewhere. And I don't really think I got to modify anything else. My harness really should be able to jump over here, and I'll have my PCM mounted right there with even if the connectors are up, I'm fine because they're sealed and everything. And it'll be off the fender that much or more, like over a ½ inch off the fender. So if any water gets there, it'll just kind of run down behind and go on down the fender. But that's pretty much it for that stuff. Well, I'm not gonna be doing anything really big in this video, just mostly talking about some plans and stuff. Figure out what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, and one thing that I really want to do over the next few weeks is try and get this running. That'll be something. Now, in order to do that, it's not just as simple as plugging in the connectors and go boom. I've got to run a tune through it, and Jorge sent me a copy of the tune from his Nova, which has a sloppy stage 2 cam, I think. I'm gonna give it that much room. It'll be good. I think he's got a sloppy stage 2 cam and it's 2-bar, so it'll get me a really good start for an idle tune. Well, really all I need now is an idle tune and probably blip the throttle just to hear the turbos sing a little bit. So that'll get me a really good start, and then I'll use his tune and kind of find my own way with mine. I'll use the histograms, and I'm going 3-bar map. So up top, I'll just sort of scale it off anyway. And I've got to hook up a fuel system, which will probably just be a bucket with some gas in it, and one of the fuel pumps plumbed up to that. My biggest one, I don't really mind having coolant in it. It's not a big deal because it'll only be running for 20 or 30 seconds. But beige has to go to blue. But I do need to have my turbos plumbed for oil. And I don't really want to make a temporary oil lines and then have to go back and redo it after, because that's a waste of materials and a waste of time and resources. So I have in the past just dumped a little bit of oil down in the inlets and got it running like that for a minute, but I don't like to do that, especially with China turbos. It's blue, that one goes there. So I might have to do a little more fab work before I can do that. I don't mind having the exhaust not on the truck fully, because I don't mind just having the outlets on the turbos, because that'll sound good anyway. Come on, be nice. So I think the oil lines really are the only thing pushing me to not fire it up right away. But pressure's on, because I think it's like the middle of July. There's a show coming up, car show called Wheels for Wishes. It's 4 hours away, which doesn't scare me at all, because Cass and I drove to New Brunswick in this thing in 2016 when it had a carbureted 350 and we pulled a 23-foot camper. So, you know, the drive doesn't scare me, but I'm running out of time. Right now, it's like the middle of April. Black is green. Okay, that's fine. Different color codes for the different sensors. But right now, it's sort of like the middle, late April, and that's only gives me all of May, all of June, and a little bit of July. So total, I probably have 3 months, which is, we'll just call it another deadline. This is definitely not Richard Rawlings here with their crazy 2-week deadlines or anything. And I'm not Aaron Kaufman. So, you know, not quite that much pressure, but still, I want to get it done. I want to make it to that show. I'm not too worried about Mexico, because Mexico's always open. But I do enjoy going to a couple shows, especially one like Wheels for Wishes that is for a really good cause. They give to the Children's Wish Foundation every year, and entry fee, of course, goes toward that. So I do really do like doing that. And yeah, and there's burning competitions coming up, and hopefully Western Speed Park will be going ahead with their quarter-mile asphalt track, or quarter-mile straight drag track, but on asphalt. Hopefully they'll be going ahead with that, because my 1/8 mile in this thing is not going to be great, because it's a manual transmission and it's a truck transmission. But I think if I got this thing in 3rd gear and let it eat, I think the back half of the track, it would be a contender. So it'd be interesting to find out how fast it actually is when it stretches its legs. This solder stinks. I know a lot of electrical guys that come in here and give me a hard time because I'm using solder instead of the little C-crimp things. And at some point I will order those, because they're sweet. And I'll get the correct tool for it. But right now, this will work just great. So, not going to be a lot of actual big amount of progress or anything in this video, or big projects done or anything, but just a few things I wanted to talk about, and just take a little bit of time and relax. It's been a long month of fabricating, or 2 months, with cutting the frame off, making my own headers. I said 2 months. It's been a long 2 years of fabricating. since I've built the caravan and all that stuff. So just wanted to relax. What else do I have? I got to wire in the map sensor. Got to check all my grounds. Oh, I also got to wire the cam sensor, because I think it has a front cam sensor. Yep, it has a front cam sensor. So I've got to make an extension for that, which is fine. I'll also make an extension for that, which I usually do, because that's the crank sensor there. The cam sensor, it's kind of windy. This is the cam sensor here, and it's for Gen 3, which is behind the intake manifold. Stop being so windy. Behind the intake manifold, and I'm using a Gen 4 block, which the cam sensor is on the timing column. And the actual wiring is a little bit different in the cam sensor. A couple wires are flipped, just like the Gen 4 map sensor. So I've got a female connector to plug into this one. Then I'll switch the wires in my extension, run it up to the timing cover. So I'll just run that. I will run that off of my wire that goes down around the front of the block and follows the crank sensor, which is this one. So let's move that tangle out of the way. Crank sensor wire is right here. So I've got to trace this connector back through the harness, out through this connection right here. This one here is my coolant temperature, so I know it's going to be between these two. And here's a ground that is right behind the power steering pump. So if I add, say, a foot of wire off of this branch here, or 2 feet of wire, then I know for sure it'll have lots of room to go up to the cam sensor. I love modifying harnesses. This is a lot of fun. When it all works, it's great. When it doesn't work, I could burn it all and sell it for $2.50 a pound at scrapyard. Okay, get rid of that. Everything else is in really good shape. My throttle position wire is good. My AC is good. Alternator plug-in is great. So it's good there. I've had to repair these harnesses. I actually had to replace one pin in this, and you can see that right here. It's an orange wire. It's one of the always hot PCM control wires, and it had a little pinhole in the top of the wire right here, and it was all green. So I don't know how long it would have ran before that wire corroded off, and it would have been forever finding. So I had to chop it off and replace a couple inches of that wire. I would have replaced the whole wire, but I didn't have another orange one, and I didn't want to miss it because I know the color code on them. And if that wire comes up and was blue, then I might have missed it and not hooked it up, and then be chasing problems that I really don't have. And here we have my box of connectors. One really cool thing about doing a lot of these harnesses and scrapping vehicles is I get a lot of these, and I always, if I get a harness that's damaged, I'll cut the connector off like this. So let's see what we have. So this is an alternator plug. I don't need that one. Transmission. That's injectors. What do I need? What do I need? I do need knock sensor plugins. So let's see if I can get some of those. That's another transmission. Another transmission. I got a lot of transmission bolts because I don't ever do automatics in the truck. So I got a lot of those left over. And I have no idea what that one is, but I can't remember. This would be a cam sensor, I think. Actually, this one is a crank sensor wire because the locking tab is on the wrong end, so I can't use that one. Never mind, I was wrong again. It's actually a map sensor connector. And here is one knock sensor because I'm going to be running a 2-wire, which screws into the block down on either side, and they've got their own separate ground, so I need 1 and 2 of those. Let's see, hopefully it's this one. Nope. Let's see. This box is endless. That's great. Where are you? Oh, maybe it's this one. Yep, it is that one. That's perfect. So I've got 2 knock sensor connectors. And this right here
is one that I've already cut, so I'm not a big fan of using that one if I've already cut it. I'll put it to one side in case I don't have another one. Nice to have all these OBD2 plugins and stuff too, because I do a lot of swaps, and I use that also for my my standalone bench tune. Another one there. So this one here is a cam sensor one, so it's perfect. I'll keep that one. It's the same plug-in tab location as a crank sensor, and also the same as a cam, so I'll use that one. And I think I saw the female cam sensor connector here somewhere too. But where? Must be this one. Nope. Oh, this one. Oh, that's a 2-wire. It would work, but it's actually only a 2-wire, which is not a big deal because I can pin one in if I need to. So that's cam again. That's another, or map, I mean. This can get confusing sometimes when you're looking at all the same connectors over and over. Another throttle position, or oil pressure. That's a 2-wire, some corrosion on that one, so I'm gonna fire that one. Oh, here we go. Here's the other end of the coolant temperature sensor that I need for my extension, which will be the other end of that one. So that's great. Now I just need one more connector for my other extension end, which I'm sure I have. Here we go. So this is the other end of my coolant temperature sensor extension. So I'll put those together like this, just so I know that they stay together. So I've got that. Here's that 1-wire oil pressure sensor I was talking about. That one just runs the gauge, not to the PCM at all. Coils, oxygen sensors, maps, all that stuff. I try to keep every connector because if I'm doing a harness for a customer and they've got a connector all smashed off, then I don't have to go waiting for them to find one. I can just repair it with my own parts. So I don't like having a long turnaround time. I like to get them back to them in a couple of days. Where are you? Or do I even have you? I thought I did. Well, I thought I had another one of these connectors for the map sensor, but I've dug through this several times now and I can't seem to find one. And I don't think I have the correct pins to replace these here and put longer wires in, so I may have to use this as is. I'll just cut it off and bring it back closer, which I don't like to do, but if I have to, I have to. But either way, nope, that's not it. Or I might have one that I can order in from CarQuest, and if I do, that'd be sweet.
Well, besides that one map sensor connector, which is a good backup,
I do have my connectors for the knock sensors I'm going to wire in, because these came with the 1-wire knock sensors like down in the valley, and I'll be going to the block type. And here's my connectors for the extension for the coolant temperature.
So I think I'm pretty well outfitted, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish up this harness. But this was pretty much what I wanted to get done. Just wanted to talk about a couple things and just make a general video for figuring out what I'm going to do over the next little bit. So thanks for watching, and thanks so much to Brennan for the extension cord. That's going to go a long way, and I love the note. That's like the best part about somebody sending you something, is if they write a note with it. Like the first time I had that was when Wynn sent me the respirator for doing flux core and stuff, and then for grinding and don't get metal in my lungs, and he wrote a page-long note, and it was so cool. So thanks again, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you want to help support the channel, you can check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/stationroadratrods, and the YouTube members link is down here. And of course, thanks to my patrons and YouTube members. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.